back to Untamed Tutorials. This is Course 2, Tricks with Type, Lesson 2. And we're going to continue our theme here of creating vintage logos or signs. And first thing I want to do is get my canvas size set up for my silhouette machine, which is going to be a 12 by 12. So we'll come right up here to this little icon, Edit Properties of this document. And then here I'm going to set my units to inches. And I'll set this to 12 inches by 12 inches. Excellent. And then I'm going to also change my display units up here to inches. That's going to determine what the unit of measure is up here on the ruler. And then we can get rid of that. All right, pressing the 5 key to get my page full screen. And now I'm going to start off here with a rectangle, about like so, and 2 circles. So let's get this circle going here. I'm just going to draw it down below. I'm holding down the Control key to constrain my proportions. And then I'm going to select this rectangle, and I'm going to copy Control C. I'm going to select the circle. Then I'm going to the Edit menu. I'm going to choose Paste Size, Paste Height. Now I'm going to position the circle up here on my box, and the scale nodes here around the outside, the transformation nodes is actually what they're called. This one here on the top and the bottom is exactly in the middle of the object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line that up with this stroke here. So I'm just using the cursor keys, and we'll get that lined up. That looks pretty good. Now what I will do is duplicate, Control D. I'm holding down the Control key to constrain my movements to the horizontal axis. And then I'm going to come over here. Ooh, hey, that was pretty good. I'm going to do that about the same right there. Now Control A will select all. And, oh, one other thing. I don't like this snapping feature turned on. I'm going to turn that off real quick while I'm thinking of it. Okay, so Control A will select all. Now I'm going to bring up the Align and Distribute Objects palette. There we go. And I want to align these on the horizontal axis. So I'm going to select this one. Excellent. Now I am going to use the Union command, which is Control, and that's the plus sign on the numeric keyboard, by the way. So let's do that. Control plus. And now I have a very interesting shape, but we're not quite done yet. I'm going to get the Edit Nodes tool now, F2 on your keyboard, and I'm going to just get right in the center here, and I'm going to drag that up just a ways. There we go. Beautiful. Then I'm going to come down here, and on the bottom it looks like we have some extra nodes we don't need. Let's zoom in on those and take a look at what's going on here. Let's see, I'm holding down the Control key on my keyboard, and I'm using the scroll wheel with my mouse. I apologize. Let's deselect everything, pressing the Escape key a couple times. Now I'm holding down the Control key, and I'm scrolling in with my mouse. I'm now holding down the mouse button on the scroll wheel. And when I select this, yeah, I can see I've got some stuff going on down here. Sometimes what will happen when you combine shapes is you might get multiple nodes that you don't need. So I'm just scrolling in to be sure that, that I don't have that situation. Now I'm going to go across to the other side and just verify that. Probably would have been faster to zoom out and back in, but here we are. All right, so that looks good. So pressing the F4 key to zoom back out. Now I'm going to select all of those nodes, and I'm going to click right here. Actually, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Zoom out a little bit. Get that. There we go. And then select both of those. I'm going to click and drag down just a little ways, about like so. pressing the escape key a couple times to deselect. Okay, that looks good, except my OCD is kicking in a little bit, and you see this little bit of a, I don't even know what to call it, a little bit of an imperfection there. I don't like that. I would like this to be all aligned across the bottom. So I'm going to select the object, switch to the Nodes Edit tool, F2 on the keyboard, and then I'm going to select all of these nodes by dragging a box around them. Now notice on our Align and Distribute palette, we have these options. This allows me to align nodes rather than objects. So I'm going to select the first one here, Align Selected Nodes on a Common Horizontal Line, and then when I deselect, you'll see that that little imperfection is now gone. Okay? Now we're ready to edit our path a little bit more. What I would like to do is I'd like to have a double border on this path. So I'm going to select the path, and this is a new command for you, at least from my tutorials. I'm going to go to Path and choose Linked Offset. Now watch this. The line instantly becomes thicker so that I can tell the lines apart. And then I'm going to click right here. Isn't that neat? And it gets even better because, or like they say, but wait, there's more. If I select the original, it's a linked offset. So if I change the original path, the offset changes with it. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now I'm going to get some text. Grabbing the text tool and clicking inside my area there, I'm going to choose the typeface called, what is it called? It's called East Market. And the links to the typefaces are available to you in the description. These typefaces are from 1001fonts.com, I believe it is, but the link is in the description. So let's find East Market. Right there it is. And I'm going to turn on the caps lock and type the word apothecary. Well, I guess I'm not. Let's try that again. Let's type the word apothecary with the caps lock on. There we go. Apothecary. All right, perfect. Then I'm going to get my arrow tool, and let's size this. I'm holding down the control key, and I'm going to get that right about there. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like this text to arc up and fit the shape of the top of our sign or logo or shape, what have you. And to do that, I need to use a path effect. So I'll go to the path. Let's get rid of this first. And then I'll go to the Path Effect menu and choose Path Effects. Now, as in our previous tutorial, you'll see that my options here are grayed out because this is not a path. Okay, this is still text. So I'll go to the Path menu and choose Object to Path. Now my options light up here, and I'll choose the plus, and then I want envelope deformation. Okay, you can see where that is in the list here. Envelope. I'm sorry. No, here I want bend. Okay, we're going to choose bend here. So we'll click Add, and then I want the Edit on Canvas. We'll select that, and then I'm going to click right here in the center. I'm going to drag that up, and maybe I'll pull this one down a little bit here. There we go. This one down a little bit over here. Just kind of eyeball that into place. All right. I think I like that. Let's do a little bit more here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to press the Escape key to deselect that. It took a couple of pops there on the Escape key. Now I'm going to add some more text. Let's get the text tool, come over here. I'm going to click and type with the caps lock still on, drugs. However, I don't want this typeface. I'm going to change the typeface to liable suit, also available down in the description. So let's go down here. You know what? Since I know what the name of it is, I can just type it in here. L-I. There we go. Excellent. With the arrow key, tool and my control key held down, I'm going to adjust my type, just so. All right. Now what I'd like is I'd like the top of this word to kind of conform or fit in to the bottom of apothecary here, but I only want the top to. I don't want the bottom or the sides to change, just the top to arc up. And I'm going to do that with, you guessed it, a path effect. But first, I need to go to the path menu and choose Object to Path. Now, I'm going to go to the Path Effects, Add Path Effect, and this time is when I want the envelope deformation. Excuse me. Now I'll click Add, and we have a whole bunch of options over here. We want the top bend path option. Then I'll come over here to the center, and I'll pull that up just like that. All right. Now that looks pretty snazzy, doesn't it? So I'm going to press the Escape key a couple of times to get that to deselect, and I'm going to get my arrow tool again and change the size of this just a little bit. I'm holding down the control key and just a tad bit there. All right, that's looking pretty good. All right, now taking a look here, you can see that our letters have become distorted. And this is one of the things that will separate you as a designer from somebody who has some design software. It's this attention to detail. Notice here how the line on the D has deformed, and the R and the U, and they just look kind of sloppy. Let's fix that. So what we need to do is, since we used a path effect, that's kind of an illusion here. This path effect is only an effect that you'll be able to see in Inkscape. Once we export this to the DXF cut file for the Silhouette software, this will revert back to its original shape. So we have to come up here and convert this to a path once more. Now that that is done, I can use my Nodes Edit tool, and I can edit this. All right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two nodes. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to tell that to be a straight line segment. And let's just zoom in. I'm pressing the 3 key to zoom in on the selection. And then I'm going to do that here. And here. Okay. And let's do that again over here. So anywhere a line should be straight, I'm going to use that command. You know, if you think this is going overboard, that I'm, being too particular about this, leave it the way it is. It's your design after all, and you can have it any way you want it. I just like things a particular way. I don't remember if I've done this one yet, so I'm going to do it again. And let's see here. How about, yeah, I think I want that one too. All right. And all right, now I'm going to bring up my Align and Distribute menu, and I'm going to do some more little changes here. All right. Okay. Now I could do this all day, but doesn't that look a lot better? The tops of the letters are deformed, but for the most part, the geometry of the letters are intact. Okay, now I'm seeing here that my shape doesn't exactly fit my letters the way I would like it to. So I'm going to change that just a little bit here. There we go. Well, now what I would like to do is I'd like to add an embellishment. So I'm going to zoom in here on the bottom of my screen just so that I can have a kind of a blank space to work without any distractions. And I'm going to grab the bezier tool here. And I'm going to make sure that Create Spiral Path is selected. And then also over here in the Shape area, I want to select Ellipse. What that is going to do is that's actually going to draw a path in the shape of an ellipse. And that's hard to understand, it's hard to describe, you're just going to have to see it. So what I'll do is I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click my mouse, move over just a little bit and click, and as I move the mouse now, it's starting to spirograph on me, spiral. So then I'm going to click here, and anytime I want to change direction, I click the mouse there. I'm coming up, and this is one of those that you have to practice with it, and I will admit I'm still learning a little bit myself here. Now if you get a node in a place where you don't want it, you can press the delete key and then move back right about up here, and then come in right about there. Pressing the escape key will then accept that, and then you can see how it turned out. You can always grab your Edit Node tool and edit if you need to. Maybe I'll bring that one in just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to grab my little swirly there and rotate it a little bit like that. Maybe that's too much. Yeah, about like that. And I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to flip horizontally. I'm holding down the Control key on the keyboard to constrain my movements to horizontal. And there you go. Okay, so I've added some color here. I changed the letters, the text to white, the little designs to white, and then the inside path there to black. This is what I want it to look like after it cuts, with the reverse type and the double border there. Let's pre-flight this now and see what it will look like after it's cut. If I go to View, Display Mode, Outline, we can see the actual paths that the Silhouette machine will use to cut. And you can see here that I no longer have my double line border. In fact, let me give you a look at what this actually looks like after it's cut. Now this program is called GIMP. It's a Photoshop type program. It's also free, and we'll be using that in some other tutorials. But for now, I just want you to just look at what this looks like after it's cut. I just cut this out of some simple cardstock, and I didn't do a very good job of weeding it. It's kind of messed up. But for the sake of illustration here, you can see what I mean. I've completely lost my fancy double border there. My type isn't reversed the way I would want it to be. So this really doesn't look anything like what our original file looks like. This doesn't look like how we want. So I'm going back to Inkscape here. And let's fix that. I'm going to go back to View, Display Mode, Normal, and let's make some changes here. First of all, this outside border here, which we achieved with the linked offset command, we need to turn that into a path again. Because much like the path effects palette, those commands don't actually transfer to the DXF file. So after I've done that, the next thing I need to do is I need to convert that path to that stroke to a path. Now let's go back over to our preview mode, and you can see that I have two lines here that will make up that stroke around there, that outline. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to go back to my normal view. I'm going to select my text and my designs here, and the inside path there. I'm going to go to Path, Difference, and even though you can't see that anything has happened there, what it actually did is it made those designs cut into that path, so that then when I take it to the design silhouette design cutting software, it will actually cut properly. Okay, now we are ready to export this. Let's go to the File menu. We'll choose Save As. Then I'm going to call this Apothecary 4. Then I'm going to change my Save As type to Desktop Cutting Plotter. Then I'm going to click Save. Give that a second. These are your options again. And OK. All right. Now let's go to the Silhouette software and take a look. Apothecary 4. OK. And there we go. Now let me just enlarge that so you can see what that's going to look like. Okay, so I'll cut this now and show you the results. This is the final cut. You can see now that it looks like what our design in Inkscape looked like. I just cut this out of some cheap dollar store wood grain contact paper. That's what I use to make stencils that I'm going to later use with spray paint. So you can see here that this design looks just like this design in Inkscape. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial as much as I've enjoyed creating it for you. If so, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care.